I'm Jason Zarco with Berkshire Hathaway EWM Realty here in Miami Beach. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be taking you through a market update basically from 2020 through 2023. I appreciate you joining me. Most of the success has really been about providing a super high level quality of service to my clients. I worked in the hotel business for Ritz-Carlton for about a decade, and I really apply that same approach to my clients in the business. That combined with being a local of Miami Beach, which is also extremely unique, that I'm a native essentially, really helps in terms of understanding the pulse, not only of our city, but of the business and staying on top of it constantly and being ultra competitive from a knowledge standpoint. So my primary market is the Miami Beach waterfront market, essentially where we're sitting now. With that being said, I do sell a lot of condos on the beach here in Miami Beach. My primary market is Bal Harbour, Miami Beach. Edgewater is a big market for me these days as well, where there's an incredible amount of opportunity because Edgewater is in the center of everything. You're literally next to Wynwood, Midtown, Design District. You can get right over the bridge to Miami Beach in 8 to 10 minutes. There's 3 different ways to get to Miami Beach. You can jog, bike, run through the Venetian Causeway, connect all the way through Miami Beach. The airport's 12 minutes away. So there's a lot of great aspects of Edgewater that really tie into and synergize with the lifestyle that Miami Beach has to offer. So I've spent a lot of time selling in Edgewater, downtown, and Brickell and the Grove as well, although my primary markets are certainly Miami Beach and Edgewater. Demand has been outrageous for Miami, which is great. We've always been a global city, but at the same time, I don't feel like we've been in that conversation of top 5 world-class cities. And we're there now, and it's solidified, and it's been solidified certainly over the last 5 years or so. And during what I call the COVID era, 2020 to 2022, that's been cemented. I mean, Miami is on the minds of everyone. It's not only this beautiful weather, the taxes, the business opportunities here, and just the way the local government opens their arms to business innovation, entrepreneurship. That's created a completely different dynamic in our city. There are a lot of residents moving here. It's actually about over 1,100 per day are moving to Florida. And a great percentage of those are coming to South Florida, specifically to Miami. So you have our feeder markets like Illinois, New York, California, which we never really saw a great percentage of those moving from California to Miami, and now they've come in droves. So how are we handling it? Well, the developers are seeing the opportunity, and they are full force building new condos, and not only new condos, but new entire development communities of extremely high quality. The quality of construction, architects, interior designers that are here now are vastly different than comparing just 10 years ago. I'm excited about a lot of developments, and not only in Miami Beach, truthfully. I mean, there's a couple of Miami Beach that are going to be spectacular, like the Paragon that's going to be on 53rd and Collins, the Shore Club, the Rosewood. There's another one in Bal Harbour that's going to be going up soon. So those are all incredibly exciting for Miami Beach and the beach side of Miami. But it only used to be just about Miami Beach. That's no longer the case. We really have defined neighborhoods now, each with their own vibe, with their own energy. And so there's great projects being developed in Edgewater. There's one on 29th on the Bay that's going to be announced very, very soon, which is just by Elysee and Biscayne Beach, which are 2 buildings I love. There's another project which is going to be the first residential building for the Edition brand. Edition is traditionally a hotel brand, but they're going to have their first residential only building, which will be on 21st and Biscayne Boulevard East on the Bay. And there's a couple of great projects going up in Brickell. The St. Regis is going to be doing a standalone project there. 1428 Brickell is absolutely one of my favorites. They're going to do a spectacular job. Antonio Citerio is the architect for that project. And there's a Cipriani residence is being built. So I can go on and on. There's dozens, but those are really the ones that are exciting me the most right now. So during the COVID era, which was 2020 to 2022, the sales pace of Miami was completely spun on its head. We had a trajectory that we've never seen before. I spoke about the amount of residents coming in from these feeder markets, and it created a frenzy because everyone realized the lifestyle that we were offering in our city, and it was constant bidding wars. So properties like this, single-family homes especially, and waterfront homes, really across all market segments, these properties went up in value anywhere from 50 to 100, even to 200% on the ultra luxury segment because there just wasn't enough inventory. And the demand for condos at the time was a little bit off pace compared to single family homes because during COVID, obviously everyone wanted to have openness, privacy, they wanted to be outside. So that spike started in about March of 2020 and continued through June of 2022. So March for single family homes of 2020, about September for condos in 2020 is when the condo market started to pick up again. And that really happened because there just weren't enough single family homes to be able to bear the demand. That's one part. The other part is because people finally started to feel more comfortable getting into buildings and elevators again, right? So during COVID, you really didn't want to be stuck in an elevator with 8 other residents. And so that's why single family started off very hot, continued that way, but then condos picked up significantly from there. Inventory during those 2 years, during that COVID era, was extremely tight. And to put it in perspective, to have a balanced market, we should really have 6 to 12 months of inventory. On the ultra luxury end, we can handle about 12 to even 20 months of inventory depending on the price point. But during COVID, we had 1 to 3 months of inventory. So we were extremely tight on supply. Demand was through the roof. And to be in a seller's market, you should really be at under 6 months. So we were in a super strong seller's market being at 1 to 3 months. And now we're finally getting to a point, now being the first quarter of 2023, we're at a point now where the market is starting to balance out. And so having a strong buyer's market would be more towards that 12 plus months of inventory. And we're not quite there yet at all, but we are at least on a trajectory where supply is starting to rise. So we are getting a lot more inventory coming onto the market, which will make pricing more competitive. Interest rates have definitely impacted the market. Interest rates is one, the stock market is the other. Those are probably the two main pillars as to what's affecting the market right now. Interest rates changed drastically. So they went from about 2.65% on the lowest end just over 2 years ago to now being in the low sixes, even the mid sixes. And just to put it in perspective from a buying power standpoint, for every $1 million you would spend on a property before, that now translates to about $700,000, right? So it's about a 30% difference in what your buying power is. And so that $1 million can be applied X to depending on what your price point is. But that just puts it in perspective. The $1 million question is, what's going to happen in 2023 and what's been happening so far? It's really important to point out that 2023 is definitely a different dynamic than 2020 and 2022. But what we have to realize is that was an anomaly. It was a very unique time frame that most likely will not ever happen again. I think what everyone needs to realize is we're in a much better position than we were in 2019 from a price appreciation standpoint. But we have to come down to earth a little bit. So if prices soften some, which we are getting some resistance in the market, there's a bit of a disconnect right now between sellers and buyers. So we need to bridge that gap. So a seller who would have priced their house at an X price a year ago or a year and a half ago is most likely not going to get the same price now. But again, to put it in perspective, if your home went up in value 100% and it needs to recalibrate by 15%, that is as an example, you're still in a fantastic position versus 2019. So 2023, we've got an incredible amount of demand still from buyers. Many of the buyers in the market really became exhausted because they kept losing out on deals, they kept making offers, and so it created almost this level of exhaustion where the buyer said, you know what, I'm going to wait it out. And so we're getting to a level now where we are recalibrating. We are still in a seller's market. However, we're in the middle of that shift into a buyer's market. And there's a lot of different micro markets to analyze, and that's extremely important. That's one of the things that I'm happy to discuss one-on-one with clients and with potential clients, because that's also really important. You need to be able to decipher which segments of the market are performing within their segment, because it does make a difference. But 2023 is the year of a bit of recalibration. The market's still going to move because we still have plenty of demand, but sellers and buyers need to find a common ground, and this is the year for that to happen. The demand for Miami is here to stay. That's one thing that I want to make clear, given the dynamics. Look at the number of companies moving here from everywhere: Chicago, New York, California. And it's not just that they're setting up an office here, they're actually completely moving their headquarters, whether it be in downtown Miami, Brickell, Coconut Grove, Miami Beach. They are literally building their foundation in Miami now. And that's bringing all of their top executives and employees and support staff here. So we're in it for the long haul in Miami, and it's something special. What's interesting is during COVID, we didn't have our typical market from an international perspective buying here because they couldn't get to Miami. They couldn't travel. So while we always had tremendous demand from, for example, Latin America and different countries from Latin America, which Miami has been their second home for decades, I'm not even including them in the mix of the conversation. So the question is, going forward, what happens when all of a sudden we have a significant amount of buyers from Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, we can go on, and then we throw Europe into the mix? This is going to create another surge of demand for Miami, and it's starting to happen slowly, but when the floodgates open, that's going to be something to contend with, and that's also why developers have really put a tremendous amount of effort in making sure that there will be thousands of new units built over the next 3 or 4 years. Miami continues to be one of the most dynamic markets, not only in the country, but in the world. And it takes a lot of navigating the market to be able to understand the right decisions to make. I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you soon.